Hello dear viewers and welcome to our English news edition. Here are our major stories for tonight. The pastoral democracy has been honored today in the village of PK51. In an accident at the zoo, a lion escaped from the zoo shot by the police. And on the regional news, eruption of violence 2 days after the signing of a peace agreement in South Sudan. Thank you for joining us in our newsroom. September 15 is the International Day of Democracy in the world. It is in the context that a delegation of parliamentarians as well as the members of the Executive Committee of the RPP went to the palaver tree located at PK51 in the locality of the region of Arta. This delegation, headed by the President of the National Assembly, Mr. Muhammad Ali Hamad, accompanied by the Prefect and the President of the Regional Council, met the main notables and social leaders. The purpose of this meeting was to meet around the palaver tree, which is a place that guarantees freedom, equality and equity among all members of the community. It is an institution based on the model of democracy and consensus among the whole people. Note in passing, this meeting under the palaver tree has strengthened cohesion and illustrates its integration into the modern political system. And as we recall that 2000 Somali Peace Conference was held in a place steeped in history. In an address, the Prefect of the region, Abdullah Durar, on this occasion, he said, "Today we celebrate the International Day of Democracy, and we know democracy will mean freedom of the individual," he said. "We reconciliate and consulted under the tree in the problems of life, and we gather to express and present the ideas for the rest, and that democracy allows us to live among ourselves." And in turn, the President of the Regional Council expressed his pleasure and satisfaction to celebrate the International Day of Democracy in the region of Arta. "We welcome the parliamentary delegation," he said, that visited us, and today we are under the Garwin tree, which have been reconciled. And for his part, the head of the region noted that they have been practicing democracy since time immemorial in the slogan of justice and equality, and that all human beings are equal in rights and duties. There is no differentiation, he said, and codification of all problems of life under a tree without charge. "We have been practicing democracy for years," he said. And during the speech, Mr. Muhammad Ali Hamad thanked the people and authorities of the region for their warm welcome and hospitality. This Day of Democracy, which we'll celebrate in the region, he added, is a strong symbol for us in the region that hosted the Somali Reconciliation Conference in 2000. Since then, Somalia has moved on the path of reconciliation and democracy. We are national parliamentarians elected by universal suffrage by the Djiboutian people. Our mission, he said, is to defend the interests of people everywhere, especially with the government. We are the relay between people and our executives. It is important to control the good implementation of development programs for the benefit of people in every region. Defending the interests of the people is a responsibility of local officials and elected officials. Democracy is the will of every citizen to be freely expressed in consultation meetings, and different opinions and ideas are put forward, and we reach consensus in order to implement the principle of popular democracy. The Chief General Staff of the Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, presided this morning a ceremony marking the closing of the Elementary Technical Music Certificate course for the benefit of 20 young soldiers from the last recruitment in 2017 by the Armed Forces. Also participating in this ceremony were Major General Hassan Ali Kamil, advisor to the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, National Police Director General Colonel Abdullahi Abdi Farah, and Colonel Wahib Musa Qadinley, Commander of the Army of the Air, Colonel Mohammed Al-Miya Bani, Director of the Operation Division, and several other military authorities. General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, reviewed the soldiers present before greeting the guests invited to the ceremony. Then the chairman of the Examinations Committee, Colonel Muhammad Ibn Wais, proceeded to the proclamation of the results in order of merit. following this, the first 11 soldiers on the list were promoted to corporal by Lieutenant General Zakaria Shah Ibrahim and the following to first-class rank. Then each promoted was awarded by a technical certificate based on its ranking. And finally, the ceremony of the elementary technical music certificate was closed by cultural activities, a round and welcome organized in the Mbuli Technical and Tactical Training Center within the Shah Osman camp. And at the end of the ceremony, the young graduates presented gifts to the General Zakaria Shah Ibrahim and the Director General of the National Police. On the evening of September 14, 2018 at 11 p.m., a lioness escaped from her enclosure at the Deccan Zoo in the area of Douda. Indeed, the animal managed to get out of his park and began to roam freely in a place that was not fenced behind the zoo. Thus, the lioness wounded 3 male individuals during her panic because of the impending agitation. The wounded were admitted to the Pelletier General Hospital, where they were placed under medical supervision. Immediately, the High Command of the Gendarmerie mobilized a group of the GIGN and the 2 platoons of the intervention of the mobile gendarmerie to neutralize the beating uncontrollable which was wandering in an area where it could still make victims. And at the same time, the gendarmes of the Demerjog Brigade sensitized residents not to leave their homes until the mastery of the situation. This day on September 15, 2018, at 7 a.m., the lioness was seen in the bushes at the place commonly called the Wanak Hawaii, located near the beach Douda. At 7:20, a sniper of DIG managed to shoot down the beast. The High Command of the Gendarmerie informs the population that the threat has been neutralized in order to avoid widespread disease for the inhabitants of the sector. And after having mastered the lioness near the beach Wanak, the officials of the gendarmerie and local authorities, whose Deputy Jibril and Sub-Prefect of Demerjog congratulated the gendarmerie for its rapid intervention. And for his part, the responsible of the zoo expressed his fears about the presence of this predator in the forest in the darkness of the night. We agreed, he said, with the National Gendarmerie force to kill the prey, and in the morning we followed up the lioness, the impact of in the beach, he said, and at 7 a.m. the National Gendarmerie snipers killed the lioness. But what is miracle, he said, is because the lioness fled the park for the second time, and we did the work and maintenance of the fence and wires for not repeating this event. Investigations, he continued, into the event will be open to produce results. As part of a joint project between the Danish Refugee Council and the US NPC, the inauguration ceremony of IT center built with funds from Juletaf at the Markazi village is held at the center in Markazi on Thursday, 13 September at 10 a.m. This computer center has already trained 66 students, 42 of whom received the computer training certificate during the inauguration, with the remaining 24 who will receive it at the end of their training. His Excellency, the Ambassador of the United States, Larry Andre, was the guest of honor to inaugurate the center. The Executive Secretary of Honors took the opportunity to thank the embasy's contribution in the Danish work to improve the living conditions of the refugees. After receiving the certificates to the students, the Ambassador and the Prefect of Obok unveiled the center's plaque. On a short visit of the center, discussions with some of the students took place in an environment of celebration and joy. Several photos were taken to commemorate the occasion. In his speech, the ambassador Larry Andre noted that Djibouti is a host country in a land of psyllium that is rare and an example to follow. Let's continue with the national news. As part of the promotion of sports activities for young people focused on the fight against juvenile delinquency, the Dora Community Center in Tejoro region organized a sports tournament this weekend. 8 teams participated from the sub-prefect of Dora participated in the tournament, and which saw the presence of several personalities of the region of Tejora to attend this unprecedented event of national importance. This initiative will allow young people to get away from drugs and other types of delinquency. In our edition today, we have prepared you a reportage that tells the brilliant story of a young Djiboutian entrepreneur and currently vice president of the Club of Young Entrepreneurs, who created a company specialized in the production of ice cubes. Let's watch this video. We have met Mohamed Abdul Mohamed, a young entrepreneur from Djibouti motivated to work tirelessly for his success. He created in 2016 a company specialized in the production and manufacture of ice cubes, essential to cope with the overwhelming heat of summer. Ice Cube is the name of its company, located at City Hodden Market, and currently sells up to 4 tons of ice cubes per day. Mohamed Abdul Mohamed recalled his career that began in 2015.
During the summer period, when I visited Obok region and met with Yemenis who were looking for ice cubes to face the heat, it was then that I started producing ice cube. After my research for funds to build this business plan, I managed to obtain the necessary fund to carry out this project.
Thanks to a filtration machine, the water of Onayat is mineralized. This machine is used to remove carbonates, bacteria, and the like that are harmful for the health. After filtering the water, it is transported in a tank that will transmit the water to the ice block machine for the production of ice cubes through a pump.
The ice block machine makes ice cubes. Once finished, it is put in waters with the heated temperatures with the ice cubes to shift. Currently, we are trying to get the ice cubes out of the machine. Only one ice block's productions take 8 hours.
It is here that the ice cubes in 25 kilometers bar are broken in 2 or 4 pieces. Then the employees pour them into a machine that will make them powdery. This machine is able to produce a large amount of crushed ice and ready for the consumption.
The ice cubes are then kept in a cool room. This is the final step. This room is a storage before ice cubes are delivered in the morning and afternoon.
And finally, Mohamed Abdo shared with us some tips, especially for the future young entrepreneurs.
For young people who want to undertake today in Djibouti, there are many opportunities. Also, we have an unemployment rate, but what I would advise as young people is to undertake. We must not wait. You have to get started and look for financing, prepare your business plan. We would like to be accompanied and have support.
Mohamed Abdo is full of ideas, daring enough in realizing his own dream of being an entrepreneur, and especially ideas abound to satisfy his ambition and to pave the way for the future generation of young Djiboutian entrepreneurs. On the news outside our borders, South Sudan's warring leaders finally have signed the peace deal. More with Hindi Ibrahim.
South Sudan's warring leaders finally put their names to a peace deal which aims to end a 5-year conflict in which tens of thousands of people have been killed. It comes after 2 days of talks between President Salva Kiir and rebel leader Riek Machar, a former vice president. It started after clashes broke out between forces loyal to Kiir and those backing Machar, who was then the vice president. This soon erupted into all-out civil war, dividing the country along ethnic lines. The conflict has displaced around 3 million people who need the country's agriculture and backed its economy. This week, the agreement signed in Naples in Sudan, there is caution due to the previous failed attempt. Its hopes the framework deal will lead to the delivery of badly needed humanitarian aid. Peace in Africa, the youngest nation, has a wider global repercussion. The conflict has produced thousands of refugees and migrants contributing to the immigration crisis dividing Europe.
Hurricane Florence have caused the death of at least 5 people in North Carolina.
Would slam into the Philippines northeastern coast earlier Saturday. It is furious wind and blinding rain, ripping off tin roof sheet and knocking out power. Blowing through the agricultural region at the start of the onslaught. The typhoon made landfall before dawn in the coastal town of Bacau in Caracayan province on the north. At least 5 people, including a mother and her infant, have died in North Carolina as the tropical storm Florence slowly moved from the Tar Heel state into South Carolina, officials say Friday. After coming ashore in North Carolina as a Category 1 hurricane, Florence was downgraded to a tropical storm Friday afternoon and tragic in South Carolina as the night came. 2 people died in Wilmington after a tree fell on their house, the city's police department said. In the besieged city of New Bern, rescuers had plucked more than 200 people from rising water by mid-morning Friday, but about 115 more had await as conditions was night and storm surge reached 10 feet. Officials say the number was down to 14 later in the day. Florence was inching along Friday night, trapping people in flooded homes and promising days of destruction and numerous suffering. A storm surges, banishing wind and rain are turning some towns into rushing rivers, and the storm is expected to crawl over part of the Carolina into the weekend, boarding some of the same area over and over.
Ex-Trump campaign chief Paul Manafort agrees to plead guilty in deal with special counsel Robert Mueller.
From a campaign possible, Manafort has agreed to plead guilty in a deal to resolve charges filed by special counsel Robert Mueller. But this wasn't clear whether the long-time Republican operative will cooperate with the prosecutor against President Donald Trump.
That's all for this news. Thank you for joining us on RTD and have a good night.